We are delighted to be joined by U.S. Representative Andy Levin of Michigan's 9th District. If you are not familiar, that includes a lot of our service area, including Bloomfield Township, Franklin, Bingham Farms, Berkeley, Beverly Hills, Clawson, Clinton Township, Centerline, East Point, Ferndale, Fraser, Hazel Park. Andy, that's a lot. Huntington Woods, Madison Heights, Mount Clemens, Pleasant Ridge, Royal Oak, Roseville, St. Clair Shores, Sterling Heights, Warren. And Congressman, I hope I didn't miss any of them. Welcome to the show.
I don't know, Dave. There's 21 communities in the 9th Congressional District, so I think you've got almost all of them, or even maybe all of them.
Well, we got a lot of them, and through our community radio stations and our community television channels that we're on each and every day, and we're on a whole network of them. It's great to reach all those people, and I thank you so much for taking time for the people of Oakland County. So how are things going with you? Where are you? How's everything with you? And has it been difficult for you personally going through the last couple of months?
Well, Dave, I'm in my basement. The dad gets the basement. We got 5 people here right now, and we got. It's been a blessing in disguise. I've got Mary and I have 4 kids, and we've had more people living in the house with us again than we ever expected, besides a holiday or something. So we've had a graduate student who finished his graduate school. We had a college student who had to come home and finish his college. We've got a high school student up in her room doing her homework. All work is homework now, right? So, and Mary and I are working at home. So we're all here, and I've been blessed. We're all good. My dad's 88. My mother-in-law is 88. They're both okay. I got 2 sons with Crohn's disease, and so they're immunocompromised and at risk, but they're both okay. So while the world is in a world of hurt, my family is doing okay. So thanks so much for asking.
Well, and we all love your family, and you have a famous family as well. So it's really good to have you with us, and good to see that in your immediate family that you are going through the challenges that all the rest of us are. I'm glad you're doing well. We're counting on the federal government in a big way right now. We have a crisis here in Michigan, and we know that we, in addition to what we're facing right now, that we have an economic crisis looming. And I think one of the biggest questions is, the next biggest questions, we're through PPP and all that, at least for today, but one of the next biggest questions, all those local communities we talked about, is will there be federal help? I mean, we're going to lose sales tax dollars. That means losing state revenue sharing. It's very possible that property values in some of our communities will suffer. This is going to hit our local communities hard. What are your thoughts about the federal government's possible involvement to help? Well, unfortunately, I think we have lost Congressman Levin's connection. Why don't you start again? We lost your connection for just a second. So did you hear the question?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can. So the question, just to reiterate, our local communities are suffering. How do you feel about the federal government pitching in and helping our communities?
Well, that's been a huge focus of mine, Dave. I led a letter signed by 128 bipartisan members of the House saying that we needed to help local governments directly. And then I was one of 4 leaders of the Coronavirus Community Relief Act, which was largely included in the HEROES Act that we passed in the House. We put a tremendous amount of resources in there for the states, the counties, and the local governments. And now I'm calling on the Senate to get in the game and take up the HEROES Act and pass it. We gave some aid in the CARES Act, but that all went through the State Stabilization Fund. It was $150 billion, and no money was earmarked for local governments below 500,000 population. Well, in Michigan, there's a grand total of 5 governments like that: Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Kent counties, and the city of Detroit. None of the 21 local communities in the 9th District are included. So we specifically have $375 billion in the HEROES Act for local governments, counties and cities and townships, down to the smallest ones. All their fire departments, police departments, EMTs, their budgets are all destroyed, and we need to help all of them to keep our heroes on the job. Public health nurses, people working on the front lines in every way. And so I'm really hopeful the Senate will take it up.
It seems, Representative Levin, that things have slowed down a little bit over in the Senate, and there doesn't seem to be the bipartisan enthusiasm for this legislation out of the House that there were for the CARES Acts before. I know we're not done yet, but is that a fair assessment of where we're at, or would you see something different?
No, it's a fair assessment, but also let's remember this is the fifth package that has been moving through. The other four, in the end, got bipartisan votes, but some started in the House, some in the Senate. The CARES Act originally was something that started in the Senate, and we in the House didn't like it at all. And so we changed it drastically. The Speaker negotiated with Secretary Mnuchin, and we came up with something that we all could support. So I don't think the Senate will be able to stay on the sidelines indefinitely, because our governors and our mayors are calling for help, and it's completely beyond any partisanship, Dave.
Yeah, forgive me, we have limited time. Would you recommend that Leader Pelosi and the Democratic caucus work with them? Are you guys willing to adjust a little bit and make some adjustments to make this thing work?
Oh, we've done it over and over. Absolutely. And you've got, Republicans like our own, speaking of Oakland County, our own Mayor Brian Barnett is the head of the National League of Cities, or one of the national mayors groups, and he's calling on the Senate to act. So it's thoroughly bipartisan, and we're happy to negotiate.
Yeah, and sure. The president, and I don't want to start quoting the president. We don't have enough time to to go down that road. But, he's been saying that some of these states, and I think he kind of throws Michigan in the pile, but mainly looking at like Illinois and some of the other states that he said has squandered their money, and he doesn't really want the federal government to come in and bail out the states. I'm sure you've heard that, and my guess is you might have a brief comment about that.
Sure. Well, I think that you can argue about, for example, how a state like Illinois has handled its pension funds in the past. Fair enough. But that's not what this is about. I mean, right now, every state has a budget that is in distress. And this is the greatest economic crisis since the Great Depression. You can't say, like Mitch McConnell did, that the state should simply file for bankruptcy. Economists across the spectrum, from right to left, have said that would lead to a Great Depression of unbelievable proportions.
Well, we've seen in Michigan how much fun municipal bankruptcies are. We have plenty of experience right here in our own backyard. So, listen, I hope we get it worked out, because, Representative Levin, I don't know where else we go. Really, I don't know where the municipalities go. If we don't get the help from the federal government, there's just no other big pool of money around to help our municipalities, and we're going to have some tough days ahead of us.
You're exactly right. And, that's why, though, it's also important that we included in the HEROES Act $500 billion for for the states as well. Because, as you know, Michigan is a place where we have revenue sharing, and the state has simply not been able to keep up its end of that bargain. And plus, the state provides a significant amount of funding for other local functions like our public schools. So we need to make sure the state budget doesn't get tanked, because that will immediately lead to cuts in our schools, and we just can't afford that.
Congressman Levin, what are you hearing in the political front? We know that Joe Biden is working on a short list of vice presidential candidates. We've heard that Governor Whitmer might be on the list. Are you hearing anything? And you want to put odds on that one?
No, I don't know. Dave, I think Governor Whitmer has done such a tremendous job of handling this crisis completely above the fray, listening to her public health experts. And I think she'd be an amazing candidate for vice president. And, but that's such a personal decision. The vice president really needs to pick someone, who can be president, if anything happens to him, and B, that he can work with super effectively and who can help him govern. And that's a matter of chemistry and things like that I don't get any vote in. I think Whitmer would be an amazing choice. I was a big supporter of Elizabeth Warren in the presidential race. I think she'd be an amazing choice. So I'm going to be supportive of him, but I think he's got to make that decision. And there are a lot of great women. He said he's going to choose a woman. I think that's a wise idea. And fortunately, we're blessed with, as we've seen in this crisis, really strong women leading in challenging times in this country. And Michigan's a super strong case in point of that, really.
Representative Levin, thank you very much for joining us. Good to have you with us. The basement cam worked just great. So I'm sorry we had so little time. We'll do it again. If you would come back, we would really appreciate it. And thank you for your service to the state of Michigan. And one final quick question.
Yes.
The proxy voting in Congress, do you have any quick thoughts on that? I know a lot of debate, and the Republicans have sued.
Yeah, I think that's very unfortunate because our Rules Committee Chairman, Jim McGovern, and the leadership set this up, and they consulted with the Republicans a lot so that people can vote in a way that doesn't add any power or take away any power from the majority or the minority. It's just a mechanical thing. I'll be voting by proxy tomorrow, and the person who has my proxy has no discretion whatsoever. I have to literally tell them exactly how to vote on every single vote, and all they're doing is mechanically doing the voting. So it's really, with all the great problems we have, I think trying to help the Congress act effectively in this virtual moment shouldn't be a controversy at all. So I think it's
I appreciate that. 30 seconds. Would you like to see them do the same thing over in the Senate? Would it be a safer play for them so they're not traveling so much and putting folks at risk over there?
Yeah, for sure. And, we can't be just looking out for ourselves. For every senator and representative, there are scores of other workers on the Hill, the people who clean the place, the people who set it up, the people who run the data services, and those people need to be safe. We need to worry about their health more than our own. So until all of them can get tested, we need to take care of everybody around us and not just think about ourselves. That's my point.
I've interviewed Sandra Levin, I've interviewed Carl Levin, and now I've interviewed Andy Levin. I feel like a much better radio host now. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. Let's chat again real soon.
Good talking to you. I'll talk to you again.
All right. He is Andy Levin. Congressman from the 9th District.